to order, and I ask Ms. Minnie to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask you to stay standing for a moment of silence for our current and past veterans. Thank you. Clerk, call the roll.
Hartman.
Here.
Rose.
Here.
Schrader.
Here.
Manine.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Hendricks.
Here.
Hyde.
Here.
Brzezinski.
Here.
Mano.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Bono.
Here.
Ackerman.
Here.
Kaplinski.
Here.
Horst.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Shaw.
Here.
Weekly.
Here. Pursuant to Rule 8, are there any objections or corrections to the minutes of April 25th? There are none, I'll order them approved. Reading in full of claims disallowed by the auditor and presented by audit, or audit by the legislature. Nothing on the desk. We now have a comment period by the residents. I would ask that you hold your comments to 5 minutes each, with a total of 30 minutes. And I'd like to call upon Carl Streeter from Alien. His subject matter is the jail.
Well, confidence in LaBella. LaBella has been very instrumental in helping the family, you know. And I wonder if you folks have really taken the time to look at some of the information that they've provided. Last time I looked, we have spent, or plan to spend, committed to spend $2.7 million with LaBella, and for that we expect professional, objective engineering counsel. One of the largest expenditures was $187,000 for the $176,000 for the state environmental quality review secret at the PNC site. I've gone over that secret. I hope you folks have, and I have found what I think are some errors, which gives me to have serious misgivings about the qualifications of and reliability of development. Reason for having a lack of confidence in that. Some of the questions that are asked in that secret were answered incorrectly, I believe. Is approval required by the village planning board? The answer is no. Is approval required by the zoning board of the village? No. We're in a legal fight over that. Does the proposed action involve a planning or zoning decision? You know, they said no. Of course it does. We're going into court with it right now. Will the proposed action affect the characteristics of the existing community? And they said no. I don't know where they got these informations. Is there or is there likely to be public controversy related to this project? This is the PNC site. Has there been public controversy on the PNC site? Was there when they started this, and hasn't there been since? Of course there has, but you guessed it, they said no. Will the proposed action conflict with officially adopted goals or plans? And they said no. Well, maybe it doesn't conflict with the county's plans, but it sure as the devil conflicts with the village plans. They want to develop the PNC site just as you want to develop the pumpkin patch site. You don't want to put a jail on the pumpkin patch site. They don't want to put a jail on the PNC site. Evaluate the importance of impacts. Are there going to be any regional consequences? And they said, well, we haven't identified, no impacts identified. Potential divergence from local needs and goals. Local, include the village, wouldn't it? No impact has been identified. No, it's not going to bother anybody. Are there any known objections to this project? What do you think they said? No impact. Here's one, I gotta quote it. You won't believe it. I hope you've read this. You accepted it. Paid $178,000 for an answer to this question. Will there be any change in traffic? Quote, staff, inmates, and visitors would travel to the site in the same numbers as they now travel to the existing facility of the village. In other words, the traffic at a 130-bed facility will be no greater than the traffic at a 28-bed facility. It boggles the mind that an engineering company could come up with that kind of a statement. It would be hilarious if it wasn't so damn costly. And just for the heck of it, let's take a look at the history of that seeker. The legislature used Resolution 88 in January of 2011. After 20 months, Labella finished it. 20 months of study, 22 months actually. Resolution 88 refers to Resolution 53. That was the genesis resolution. It was in Resolution 53 in February of 09 that you agreed to have Labella execute a seeker. It wasn't until the next month on Resolution 88 that the numbers were known, and then you authorized $178,000. The problem comes when you go back to the minutes of that February meeting. There ain't no Resolution 53 in the minutes. I've been assured that we do a good job with our minutes, but if you look at February 11th meeting, wherein Resolution 53 was supposed to occur, they're not there. That meeting ended on Resolution 52. The next meeting in March began with Resolution 54. So here's a resolution with $178,000 that just doesn't get into the public view. Maybe that's small change to you, but it's not to the $64,000 people who've got to pay the bill. I think they should have been made aware of that. It's important to the people. To hide this from them is horribly wrong.
30 seconds.
Well, I've got two examples of the same kind of tactic. The February 10th, 2011 special session where almost $20 million was voted to be bonded. That never got in February. It never appeared in the public record till sometime in July and August, and only after certain people put a lot of pressure on. The same thing happened with the CRS projections of jail population. Never got, that was done in January of 2011. That never happened. I don't know why you people do yourself the disservice of not making public everything that goes on. It makes people suspicious. It reduces the respect that people have for this organization. I wish you would change that. Thank you very much.
I'd like to call Christine Jackson from Mohawk, and her subject matter is the country map.
Country map, just general questions about the whole thing. I can't quote figures the way Carl does, but my thought is we have been paying Labella for 10 years. And I'd like to know how much it would have cost 10 years ago to repair the problems that we have with the county jail. Would we have been further ahead? There is no mandate that we have to build this jail, yet we have been paying someone. The thought goes through my mind, and I'm going back to World War II, to Germany, where I wonder if we were led down the garden path by someone whose intent was to lead us, literally, by dragging things out. And let me build this, let me show you what I can build for you. It'll be state of the art, it will save you money, it will be do this and that. Let me lead you along. It reminds me of something, as I say, about Germany. When the Nazis came in and started gathering up the Jews and the Christians and everybody.
Mr. Chairman, she is totally out of order.
You're way out of order.
I would demand that she sits down. Calling somebody a Nazi is not
That's way out of
proper order, madam.
Ms. Jackson, that's enough. Your comments. That cannot be tolerated, folks. It won't. Way out of line. Move on. Communications received by the legislature and the committees to which they have been referred to as listed on the agenda. Does any member of the legislature request mention of any particular communication? Mr. Brzezinski.
Mr. Chairman, could I have 181 read, please?
That's 181.
I wish to, this is from Joseph Chilelli, Chairman of the Concerned Citizens. I wish to inform you that our organization, the Concerned Citizens for a Better Herkimer County, is a media outlet and as such has been recording all the legislative meetings, has a webpage that addresses issues of concern for county residents, and has periodic news and commentary on our website. And as such, we are part of the local media. We are entitled to the same rights as any other media sources, whether it be television, newspaper, or as in our case, the internet. Please be advised that the concerned citizens has designated Mr. Carl Streeter and myself to be liaisons on behalf of our organization. We believe we have the same rights and expect the same courtesies extended to other media outlets in reporting on Herkimer County government. We expect to be able to present, to ask questions, receive communications in a manner afforded other media, future press conferences that the county legislature or chairman may hold. Please feel free to address any future media releases to my email, and he gives his email.
Anyone else, Mr. Parks?
180, who's suing us?
That is in the matter of David Hazard versus the Herkimer County Correctional Facility.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Moving on with the agenda. Pursuant to rules number 6, report of standing committees, are there any sheriff people, persons of the legislature that would like to give a report on their activities of their committee? Anyone? Mr. Hendricks.
Mr. Chairman, we, Public Safety met and approved the monthly report of the sheriff, which an average daily population of 67.23 inmates over that period. We also met and did a reappointments to the Scottsdale DWI board, and, which that'll come up later in the session. And then I think that was about it.
Mr. Mann?
Mr. Chairman, on May 9th, the Education Committee met, and we approved the bids that the college put out for the roofing contract. They sent it to the lowest bidder, Moisture Barriers of Albany. And then they awarded 4 contracts for the science lab, and those contracts were for the roofing. Oh, I already said that, Moisture Barriers. For general construction, to J. Carrari Construction, HVAC to Druzy Plumbing and Heating, plumbing to Druzy Plumbing and Heating, and electrical to Egler Electric. And tonight, we had another education meeting, and we appointed 2 trustees, and they'll be coming up in coming resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Do you want to?
Yeah, Human Resources met with the Ways and Means Committee. We discussed a couple issues for the mental health. One of those issues is on tonight's agenda.
Any other person? Continue on with the consent agenda. I have a motion to adopt resolutions 118, 119, and 120. Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Hendricks. Any discussion? All those in, I'm sorry, Mr. Hart?
Yeah, I just want to point out the resolution 118 where it's accepting the sheriff's report. I just find it interesting that the average daily population is 1/2 approximately of the proposed core facility, a little under 1 or a little over 1/3 of the proposed expanded facility.
I don't know.
The average population, 67.23 inmates in the proposed facility, and so there's 130 cells, and the proposed expanded facility is 108.
It's boarding out. Add the other 20.
Yeah,
All right, comments made. Anyone else? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Resolutions will pass. Consent agenda. Moving on to 121. This resolution approves the apportionment of mortgage tax for the period October 1st, 2011 through March 31st, 2012. Roll call.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Poplinski. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. That's the first one on the list. Clerk, call the roll.
Mano.
Yes?
Smith.
Yes.
Ono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Kaplinski.
Yes.
Horst.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Meekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Manine.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Krasinski.
Yes.
17.
Resolution passes. Number 122.
Education, Ways and Means, amending 2010-2011 operating budget of the county.
This resolution amends the operating budget of Herkimer County Community College for the year 2010-2011. May I have a motion? Mr. Ackerman, second by Mr. Mann. Any discussion? Mr. Mann.
Mr. Chairman, this budget had to be amended because the college got a higher student enrollment than they were expecting, so they received an additional $13,911 in state aid for the fiscal year 2010-2011. There will be no increase in the sponsor's contribution. The sponsor's contribution will remain at $1,630,612. The new operating budget of the college with the extra $13,911 will be $22,169 and $103.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. Anyone else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Resolution passes. 123, please vote.
Education, Properties, Ways and Means, awarding contract for renovation of science labs and roof replacement project for the college.
This resolution awards contracts to the lowest bidder as listed for the renovation of the science labs and roof replacement project at HCCC. Motion by Mr. Mann, second by Mr. Hyde. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Resolution passes. On 124, roll call.
Human Resources, Ways and Means for staffing change in mental health.
This resolution approves the staffing change as listed in the Mental Health Services Department. Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Shaw and Mrs. Manine. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Krasinski.
Yes.
Nano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
McClinsky.
Yes.
Force.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw. Wheatley.
Yes.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose. Schrader.
Yes.
Manine.
Yes.
17.
Resolution 124 passes. Resolution 125. Voice.
Information Services, Ways
Excuse
and
me.
Means.
Oh, 125 is pulled, I'm sorry.
Well, 126 is 125.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Keep our numbers
Yeah, I didn't
straight.
have that on my list. Okay.
What is it? Information Services, Ways and Means, awarding bid for additional internet bandwidth.
This resolution awards a contract for provision of additional internet bandwidth for Herkimer County offices. Voice vote. Mr. Ackerman, second by Mr. Hyde. Mrs. Rose. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 127. Six.
Ways and Means, Public Safety, Emergency Management, awarding bid for van.
This resolution awards a bid for the van for Herkimer County. Motion by Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Hyde. Any discussion? Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, I think it should be noted, though, that this is being funded through Homeland Security money, and it's not coming out of our general budget.
Noted. Anyone else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution 126 passes. 127.
Human Resources, halting further admissions to the country manor.
This resolution provides that there be no additional residents admitted to the country manor. May I have a motion? First by Mr. Smith, second. Mr. Poplinski and Mr. Hendricks. Any discussion? Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, I was at the committee meeting when we discussed this, and I followed up with an email to Mr. Wallace to ask for additional information. I know that that building was built to house 80, and a few years ago, perhaps 2.5 or 3, the population was changed to 40. And I think after that happened, I didn't realize at the time, being, I think it was my first year in the legislature, that there wasn't a way to compartmentalize it, and we were stuck with the full operation. I know at the time it was talked about that perhaps there could be another tenant co-locating there in a space that would not be used by the 40, but that didn't materialize. We know that it has a long history in our community, and I've had people call me and say, don't you understand what that was created for? Times have changed. Medicaid wasn't on the horizon when that building was created. However, I do think that we've gone at this backwards. There are proposals, we talked about it at the committee meetings, that are forthcoming, I guess, from a variety of community providers or people from someplace in the state or country that will be submitting proposals to us to, well, I'm not sure what it is because we didn't ask for them. They might be submitting proposals to operate it, to take it over, to operate it for us, to take the people and leave it. We know that there was an appraisal done on the property, and there was some contention that one of our legislators asked to see it and was told that it was privileged and confidential, and we only found out later that the firms that have voiced interest in Country Manor were told what the appraised value was. So that gave me cause for concern. I question whether we would be on sound footing to do this without a request for proposal. After the last meeting, Mr. Malone did give me the law. I did do further checking, and I'm told absolutely we can do it. It's legal for us to do this without an RFP. Does it make it right? No, but it's legal. So that part of the equation's been answered for me. In November of last year, October of last year, I asked, because I was concerned that we knew that there had been views done during budget time, that the costs that were projected for Country Manor, and I asked at the time, could I see the demographics of the people that were residing there? And I got a list from the commissioner, and at the time, there were 29 people, but I think there were 3 out in General Hospital or someplace, in rehab or wherever, so we had 29. And I don't know what we have today. We had 32 a while ago, and we froze admissions to 32, and then this resolution obviously freezes it to whatever happens. But we had 29 people. The longest tenure was 1988 that lived there. Is that person still there from October? I hope so. We had one that came in 1993, one that came in 96, one that came in 99, one that came in 2000, 4 were admitted in 01, none in 02, they're currently there, 1 in 03, 2 in 04, 4 in 06, none in 07, 6 in 08, none in 09, 2 in 2010, and 5 as of October, whatever, 2011. That brought us to that 29. We have 9 that are over the age of 90. We've heard the comment made, they don't come from the county. The list that I was given, 2 were from Otsego County. 6 had no family at all. We heard comments about, people should take care of their families, and that is a wonderful thing. I love that we were able to do it. Not all families can. We have 6 veterans in there. We have 3 spouses of veterans. We have 6 are private pay. They're paying the shot for being there. Again, this was as of October. A comment was made at our last, maybe it was at that committee or it was the last main legislative committee meeting, about do these people know what's happening? Do the staff know? I don't have the figures on how many staff have been hired since the current chairman of the legislature and Mr. Wallace visited with them. I'd have to believe that there's some. Certainly there were trade-offs when people bumped over there. But we have residents that if the conversation took place with them in 09, there's at least 7 who weren't part of that conversation. I hope that we have set in place something that's said to those 7 and a reinforcement to the person who's been there since 1988 that this place is done. And I don't doubt in this room that there are 9 people that will see that that happens. I personally needed to understand what the cost impact would be of such a resolution. We know that when the budget is developed, and Mr. Wallace reaffirmed it in an email to me, that the cost to operate Country Manor, any revenue we get from the people that live there comes off, and then the state splits with us the cost. And this year, it's going to be $500,000. It's been 6. It's been 3. It's a lot of money for the people that I just articulated, and there ought to be a way of doing it. I asked in my email to Mr. Wallace, because I've heard comments made in the room, maybe, and if I might, I asked whether there was any way, so that I could have an informed vote tonight, that when we stop the admissions, how are we hurting ourselves with money? Well, it could be a private pay that calls up tomorrow and says, I want to go there, and we say to them, you know what, we're in the process of transitioning this program, and you can come, but you need to know that it's not going to be here for the long haul. That's half of the revenue we don't have to spend, half of the expense that we don't have to bear. I asked if we had, however many staff that are there, is there any economies of scale? If we have staff there now to service 32, when will we, as we reduce the census, lose more staff? And Jim's answer to me was that, and we have saved currently properly staffed. We're down about $20,000 in salary costs to date from last year. And they're gonna monitor staffing levels, but they're gonna take an added look when we're down to 25. So it's gonna cost us. We sat here tonight wondering when we're gonna get money for some things, and I know that there's other programs that social services does, and I mentioned it at the committee. There's the high cap, and there's the prenatal, and there's a lot of things that maybe we're not mandated to do, but if we've used money that we could do. This is going to inflict on us added costs while we're in that transition. The 4 or 3 or 2 proposed interested parties in Country Manor, I've never seen the proposal. I think most people in this room haven't seen it. So I know that Mr. Russell at committee had indicated that when you were talking about moving Country Manor to Valley Health, or Valley Health being involved in the equation a few years ago, 40 was the number that would work for them. I don't know if in the proposals that you've looked at, if there's a number that would work for the people. So are we cutting off our noses to spite our face in order to send a message that Country Manor isn't going to survive for the long haul? Are we cutting off our noses to spite our face in this? Do the proposals that you're going to be considering in a month or weeks or days, do they require anything? And if they do, we should know that. We should know that it's been discounted or that indeed it is included. I called the health department today and I asked whether there was a possibility, because I asked Jim in the email, but in his answer to me he didn't address that. If Country Manor were to be closed and we were left with, let's say, we got 32 and we're down to 18, and how many staff do we have then and what are our costs? Can we, I'm going to use the word tuition amount, but issue an inducement to the not-for-profit adult homes in our area? We have Claxton Manor, we have the Middleville Rest Home, and we have Mohawk Homestead. And we know that our people, most of our people, except for those 6 that are private pay, would be paying the Medicaid rate. And those places have been less inclined to accept Medicaid people. So an inducement for them to accept our people, and would it be possible for us to really provide a financial inducement? I've asked, I did not speak on behalf of Herkimer County. I identified myself as a Herkimer County legislator who needs that information to know whether I can vote for this or not. Because this is about those people that live there, but it is also about what's the financial impact of the decision we're making tonight, and that hasn't been given to us. So when we know $500,000 was the guess if we were going to have 40 people in there. Well, we haven't had 40. We haven't had 40 for this entire fiscal year, probably. So we budgeted as if we were going to have 40. The money is there. It's in the budget. Maybe it can be used for some of the other things. But we're being called upon tonight to make a decision without having that information. I don't think we should be doing this tonight. I think we need more information, and we certainly have financial people here that ought to be able to provide that. Thank you.
Mr. Hart.
I must say I concur with Mrs. Rose. I'm afraid of the lost revenue and how we are going to mitigate that lost revenue by turning away potential residents. And we should be upfront with the residents that it may not be long-term if they want to come in. But there is, and how are we going to mitigate it if we keep enough staff to properly care for our residents that are there? That's one concern I have. I don't think it's fiscally responsible, and I'm not sure if it's the proper socially acceptable thing to do. I have mentioned requests for proposals on a number of occasions that I think that would be the best way to get the best options, or at least the best options. I do understand that we did do it in 2004. I submit that things may have changed since 2004. At the last committee meeting when I brought it up, I was told that anybody that looked under a rock in Herkimer County or the region knew that we were trying to get rid of Country Manor. I happen to believe that the industries that look for RFPs don't look under a rock. They probably look on the extensive RFP databases that are very easy to find, and anybody, reputable company, can see that from throughout the country. I don't think they look under a rock. I think they look on the internet and industry publications. I haven't been successful, and I probably won't be, in convincing many in this chamber of why an RFP might be beneficial. I'm convinced it is. So in an effort to try to come up with a more convincing term, more convincing language, I went to Wikipedia. And they do have some interesting reasons why an RFP is beneficial, not only in this occasion, but why governments normally do it. In principle, an RFP, this is from Wikipedia, informs suppliers that an organization is looking to procure and encourage them to make their best efforts. Requires a company to specify what it proposes to purchase if the requirement analysis has been prepared properly. It can be incorporated quite easily into a request document. I think that would show why it might be helpful when we're getting different rates for our last RFP. Alerts suppliers that the selection process is competitive. That is key. Allows for wide distribution and response. I think that is key. Ensures that suppliers respond factually to identified requirements. And lastly, is generally expected to follow a structured evaluation and selection procedure, something we're failing to do here, so that an organization can demonstrate impartiality, a crucial factor in public sector procurement. I guess that will add to my list of reasons why an RFP is acceptable.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr.
Mr. Chairman, I think I planted the seed during the joint meeting of Human Resources and Ways and Means that we should be moving toward not accepting any more individuals. There's been a valiant effort, I think, put forth by this legislature to try to sell the component of the countryman. The fact that it's people that are living there and help that are working there be sold as an entity and conveyed as an entity with everything working according to FOIA. And it's difficult. This isn't a necessary thing that a lot of people are looking to jump into this business. This is an expensive business to run. And when you have public employees running it rather than private sector running it, it's even more expensive. So we need to get out of the business one way or another. The roof and the heat is for an 80-bed facility. We've only got 32 people in there. So that heating bill, even though we turn it down in certain sections, is still costing the county a lot of money. The taxpayers of Herkimer County a lot of money. The same is true for a roof if it needs it. So these are the things that this legislature is looking at that are finding it more and more costly. We can't continue to run a country manor and Office for the Aging that's seeing reductions in effort from the state and feds trying to keep people in their own home as they age in Herkimer County. So we should be trying to get out of the business. I think we're one of 4 in the county. I don't believe, well, 4 in the state rather, 4 counties in the state that run a country manor or an operation like this. They woke up and smelled the coffee years ago and got out of the business. They had county homes. They got out of the business. And their people aren't sleeping in cardboard boxes on their streets. They are taken care of. Those people are taken care of. Maybe it's a little more difficult to place them. Maybe we've made it a little too easy to place some of these people. I don't know. But I do know we can't continue, Herkimer County can't continue to fund a country manor and take care of that end of things and try to take care of home delivered meals and all the other things that the Office for the Aging tries to do. And I think by reducing the number and eventually getting out of the business one way or another, we still may be able to convey it as a service to some entity if they're so interested. But we've got to work toward less fallout for people and work that number down. And that's why I made that resolution.
Mr. Russell?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to point out that although RFPs sound wonderful, I think it was last year, I'm thinking, we had a bid for something over the 911. And some legislators were convinced that we needed to go to RFP on that, and we had decided that we would. And only one person bid, and it was the same person that gave us the original bid, and the price went up. So RFPs, even though they sound good, can be more costly than just trying to do it in the manner in which we're doing it this way. We've had success in getting some proposals. I think this legislature should look at those proposals. If the legislature doesn't like the proposals, then we can consider an RFP. But I think we should go that route first. We've done the RFP route. We've been having luck. We might have some luck this time.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Mr. Shaw.
Really, this is kind of a double-edged sword decision. When it came up to voting to drop it to 40 beds, I voted no, because it didn't make sense to me how you were going to keep the same staffing, have half the beds empty, and save a lot of money. But since then, the state of New York, in their wisdom, gave a $4.2 million grant to Valley Health. We were going to give them another $1 million, and that was to take care of a lengthy period of time of the residents there. And they couldn't make that system work. There are two things wrong with the building. Number one, it's sitting on the wrong piece of property in the wrong area. One of the big reasons that Valley Health couldn't make that system work is they couldn't get natural gas run up there for cheaper fuel. The electric bill there is atrocious. Long before I got here in the seat, there was very little upkeep done on the building, I guess. You know, when people tried to keep taxes down. The main thing I'm concerned about is that we give proper care to the people that are remaining there, give the staff a chance to have a job, and I think we're doing that. But to follow up on what Dennis said, we spend about $365,000 a year that services 3,000 people to keep Meals on Wheels and those type of things going. And with the changes that none of us know yet, that are going to come with Obamacare, this thing could be a mess. So I think we should wait till we get the proposals together, look at them, and the ones that do what we're trying to get accomplished are the ones we consider. And believe me, I don't want to see it closed, because somebody's going to take care of these people somewhere. It's just too bad in this day and age, we can't afford to do it.
The comments that I made were speaking specifically, what I'm trying to do, to this resolution about shutting off admissions. If you were at 32 and you left it at 32, or you left it at 30, to adopt a resolution that says that it's whatever the lowest level is going to be, and that's what we're going to do, is the thing that's going to cost us money. It's going to cost us money until we have an opportunity to review the proposals. I'm not debating what's going to go on with the proposals. That will be a separate argument in and of itself. When you have the vote, I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I would have asked the legislature, as I asked Dennis, when he mentioned that, to wait till after we look at the proposals to see before we cut it down to no more admittance. Because who knows, we're not allowed to see the proposals from the other people. So there might be a stipulation in the proposals that they want 40 people there. And they might think it's more profitable for them to have 40 people there versus not letting any more admittance. And I mean, we've already budgeted for 40 people, if I stand correct, Mr. Wallace? Correct. What would have hurt it to do another few weeks or another month or a few months? If there was a few people that needed to go there for a few months, under the impression that they know that it might only last a month or two. I'm gonna vote no on this because of that situation.
Mr. Hyde.
Do we have the final proposals then?
finalized, no. Anyone else?
Any time frame?
Budget. Probably within the next 4 weeks, I would say, Mr. Wallace.
We're pushing hard, Mr. Hyde.
You know, trying to get people together is, you know, coordinate.
We were told it was gonna be this Friday was the deadline.
We were very hopeful, Mrs. Rose, correct.
Motion was made, seconded, discussion had. Any more discussion? Roll call vote by Mrs., requested by Mrs. Rose. So clerk, call roll.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Kaplinski.
Yes.
Horst.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
No.
Weekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
No.
Rose.
No.
Schrader.
No.
Manine.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Brzezinski.
No.
Nano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes. Resolution passes. On to 128.
Education appointing trustee.
This resolution reappoints Isabella Crandall of Herkimer, New York, as member of Herkimer County Community College trustees. May I have a motion? Mr. Ackerman, second. By Mr. Hyde and Mr. Mano. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution 128 passes. 129.
As education appointing trustee at the college.
This resolution reappoints Donald Snyder of West Winfield, New York, as member of the Herkimer County Community College Board of Trustees. I have a motion. Mr. Poplinski, second by Mr. Ackerman. Mr. Mano. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. I'd like to thank each of those candidates for serving on the board. They've done it so in the past with great commitment to the college, and we look forward to working with them. Thank you. 130.
30 is properties authorizing redemption of parcels taken under INREM.
This resolution authorizes redemption of parcels of real property acquired under the in-rem tax foreclosure proceedings under the term and conditions listed. This is a roll call vote. May I have a motion?
So moved,
Mr. Corr,
Mr.
second
Chairman.
by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Manine.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
Nano.
Yes.
Smith. Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Kaplinski.
Yes.
Corse.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Weekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose. Schrader.
Yes.
17.
130 is unanimous. Now go to comments by legislators. Is there any legislator wishing to speak? Mrs. Manine.
Yes, I'd like to announce that the Veterans Committee, the Fallen Stars Memorial Committee, is having a dedication for 5 members of Herkimer County that have received the Medal of Honor. It's going to be May 26th at 11 a.m. out at the Flag Park in between the 2 county buildings. And we hope that there will be a lot of people to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, we had a public safety meeting tonight, and I asked about the status of the jail and what the, I guess it's a group, this meeting, is planning, and when we might know something, what the staffing might be. There's been a great deal of conversation over the past month about what's going on, and I found interesting, I know that Mr. Streeter has come before our group many times to address us, and I think he's done a thoughtful process of reviewing the data. Unfortunately, I think he is referencing what an awful lot of our citizens are saying, is that they lack sufficient information to really support what's going forward. I lack sufficient information to support what's going forward. If my village that I represent were all 100% behind the jail, it would be hard for me to vote affirmatively because I am still not convinced on the size that's being proposed. If I were to be satisfied with the size in my village that we represent were affirmative on this, it would be easier. But there's just not good information. You know, the letter that Mr. Streeter wrote to the paper, and I don't know who writes the editorial, but they said the team is wrong. And it's because we don't have committees that are reviewing it. I got reflecting when I read this, is that at one point there was a motion in here to establish a jail committee, a special committee. And at the time, I can remember not being willing to advance my support, and therefore it was not able to be considered because it wasn't unanimous. The problem I had at the time was that no one was willing to state what the charge of that committee would be, what they were going to be doing, and have a clear description of what would be happening.
Mrs. Rose, would you like to bring this to the committee?
No, I don't. I have a statement to make for you. I think, am I allowed to make comments? That's what
Absolutely.
I'm
I'm
doing.
just
I'm not
asking if
asking,
you
no,
want
I did it to committee. I've done this to committee. And I think that it speaks to the citizens' lack of information. So what was created here in Herkimer County is a team. And it's a team of leaders, I guess, some people would label them, that have been meeting to decide what this jail is going to look like, how it's going to be sized, and we will be getting an opportunity to look at it. But really, we've not been told just how critical our review will be. Will it be done in a 10-minute committee? Will it be done in an hour? Will it be a presentation by an architect with PowerPoint? You know, Mr. Streeter had said, as Mr. Bono said, the state requires that each county have a jail. This is true, each county, not each village. The overcrowding at the jail, the deteriorated conditions.
And where's the village? In the county?
Can I have you recognized for this, please? I'll certainly take your questions when I'm done.
No, there's no questions.
Well, you asked one. The overcrowding of the jail, its deteriorated condition, the high cost of housing compared to the much lower cost of board hours, the failure to operate the jail in a statutory compliant way. These are all serious county problems, and for Mr. Bono to insist that the village be a party to the solution is absurd. I represent that village. Despite his efforts to have you believe otherwise, the village has no obligation to solve the county's problems, especially problems of their own making. How egotistical to condition his 3 unofficial proposals, as this is Jim Bono talking. How arrogant to criticize the village for not responding to every opportunity that I've given them. I've had people call me about this.
Mrs. Rose, that's an editorial. That's one person's opinion.
I'm
Nobody
sharing
asked me.
my comments on it,
I'm
sir.
telling you the truth. Afterwards, I'll talk. Listen, this needs to go to committee.
Mr. Bono, I
You have
reserve
your
the
own
right
agenda.
to have my legislative comment made. I represent my village, and I've received numerous calls from people.
Funny, I don't receive one call.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
and how many other legislators receive calls on the
How
jail?
presumptuous, Mr. Bono, you gave me the floor for this, please. How presumptuous to give the village a deadline. How brazenly obvious and self-serving are his good faith offerings. How many times and in how many ways have the people of the village told this legislature they want no part of the jail on the PNC site? A desire that is assured in the state constitution and protected by various home rule statutes. We voted on home rule issues and defended them. Mr. Bono, his witnesses of 9 votes continue to harass the village on his issues. This issue is unconscionable and unacceptable. This measure has been delivered loudly and clearly.
Mrs. Rose, Mrs. Rose,
Yes,
I am the chairman. When I ask you to cease, please cease.
You are not Lord, sir.
I'm not saying, Mrs. Rose. Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Bono.
Listen,
Chairman.
listen.
This is my legislative comment.
I understand, but you're attacking the legislature. You're attacking.
I will delete those comments.
No, too late. Too late.
Oh my God. How many tries do we get?
Mrs. Rose,
Tell me
you
the rules.
attacked me.
Motion to adjourn. Takes precedence over everything.
You cannot interrupt the speaker, sir.
I'll defer to Mr. Malone for.
I know Mr. Malone's been whispering the rules and don't let her read an editorial or whatever it might. Well, when I was trying to speak to you, it was not.
I defer to Mr. Malone.
The issue that I've been saying to you is, I'm putting this away. The issue that.
You don't understand.
What don't I understand, sir?
You don't understand. I said I defer to Mr. Malone on the call by Mr. Weekly. Motion to adjourn.
The chairman had interrupted. The speaker chairman has the right to do that. Motion was made during that period of time, so the motion is appropriate.
You should be ashamed of
It's
yourself.
It's not open for discussion.
You're afraid of a comment. You're afraid
You
of a
attack the
comment.
legislator
You should be
with
ashamed
false
of yourself.
comments. With false comments. Second by
Ashamed
Mr.
of yourself.
Smith. No discussion. All in favor? Any?
No.
Motion passes. We're adjourned.
No votes.
Thanks.